G'day folks and welcome to the Vookcast, Australia's Nintendo podcast. My name's Oliver Brandt and with me this week are Angelo Valdivia.
What's up everyone?
Luke Henderson.
Howdy.
And Michael Goncalves.
Hello. That peaked so bad. Apologies to literally everyone had to listen to that.
We've got a great episode lined up for you, all about the games we've been playing, a new Minecraft game on the way, the return of the SteamWorld series, and more. But first, let's talk about GoldenEye, because it was just announced last night that GoldenEye is finally coming. It will almost certainly be out by the time this podcast is out, because it's coming like literally tomorrow at the time of recording. But the Switch version has widescreen support, which Michael is very torn about. And the game is also coming to Game Pass, but the Xbox Game Pass version won't have online play, which is unfortunate, but it only really has online play on the Switch version because it's inherent to the app. But yeah, so that's coming on the 27th of January, so tomorrow, or maybe the day after, depending on when it actually launches. Yeah, go on, Luke.
I was going to say, Xbox was saying for Game Pass it will start rolling out on the 26th in some regions, but it'll be fully available on the 27th. So I suspect Nintendo will probably keep to their usual things, probably like 11 a.m., 12 p.m. for us, for Switch owners.
I suspect that probably is the case, yeah. Is everyone looking forward to playing GoldenEye? Obviously, it's a big game in many people's childhoods and current hoods.
Current hoods? Is that a word?
I don't know.
I replayed it last year, so I'm definitely not, chomping at the bit to play it again. But yeah, I think it's great that it's finally coming. It's a bit odd that it took as long as it did to get, dated.
Yeah, well, they just skipped over December entirely for Nintendo 64 games, which was kind of weird because they were on a very good monthly cadence there. But I don't know. We have it now, or we will very shortly.
I might actually get a reason to use that Nintendo 64 controller for the Switch that I bought.
I think Vook posted a thing where he showed the controller and it was in case of emergency break glass, or in case of GoldenEye break glass. Yeah.
Are those things back in stock yet?
No.
They've been back in
Not for
stock a
ages.
couple times, but yeah, it's been about 6 months since the last restock for them.
Gee.
At least in
I
Australia.
checked last week. Japan has them in stock. Japan has them in stock and ready to ship.
Okay.
Which I suspect means that a restock is probably coming for other regions soon. America had one in November, so
But they sell out so quickly. It's so annoying.
they do sell out very quickly. I think part of the problem is that they have they don't have a good customer limit, because it should really be one per customer. But
Isn't it? Oh no, it'll be four.
It's
maximum.
Four per lifetime, or per
per
account, I
lifetime.
guess.
Yeah. Which I think you should only be able to order one at a time. At least make people jump through a couple hoops, so they don't immediately sell out. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think because the Switch version has widescreen support, it means that the Switch version is pretty much objectively going to be the better version of the two, because it also has the online play, which is a little disappointing for the Xbox version, which does have improved controls and stuff, but other than that, it's still the same game. It's GoldenEye.
Well, the
Insane
Xbox
that
version
Switch
is
has
also
the superior version of any game over another console. So that's a feather in its cap.
I just assumed the Xbox version had widescreen.
Oh, the
Before-
Xbox version does have widescreen, but we didn't know that the Switch version did. People are like, oh, well, the Xbox version is still going to be better because it has widescreen, but then the Switch version has it too, so...
Yeah,
Isn't the Xbox version that remade Xbox Live Arcade thing? Isn't they just fixed that up to modern platforms?
I don't know for sure. It does have achievement support, so that's nice, but it's a bit weird because it's very clearly based on the N64 version, but then they've got extra control options and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know.
I know the actual original N64 version does have a widescreen mode.
Yeah,
it's not a great widescreen mode, but it does have it. So
How many
Interesting
frames
to
does
see how
it dip
this
down
one-
to when you turn that on?
I mean, I don't think it beats 15 frames normally. So
Probably doesn't, because it will run at the same resolution. Because
I think they
it's
just
a fake
letterbox
widescreen.
it.
I just figured that it'd be rendering more game. But
That makes sense.
But it actually kind of like doesn't, just because of like how it's like squishing it. But that's a
If it's that, I
Okay.
assume it's that type of widescreen. Like actually, I don't remember ever turning it on. But if it's the case, yeah.
I think I turned it on when I had my old 32 centimeter Conker CRT TV, just to see what it was. And then, instead of it being a full screen on my square TV, it just, made the image really, really condensed on the screen. So I turned it off.
Yeah. It's anamorphic widescreen, which
Yeah.
would run at technically you have less information on the screen, so it's
but
worse for fidelity.
that is the other thing, is that it does like a lot of other N64 games on the Switch. The GoldenEye does seem to be running at a higher frame rate than the original hardware.
Oh, sorry, I don't mean the Switch version. I meant the original 64 version.
I know.
The
I'm
Switch
just
version
saying
does
that like
a whole load of crazy crap. On the
yeah.
back end, so.
I'm just saying that like it does appear to be, just segueing into that. It does appear to be running at a higher frame rate, much like Pilot Wings did, which is pretty cool. It's just kind of inherent to how the Nintendo 64 emulator works, is that like it doesn't have, the normal hardware limiters on the GPU side. So
It's nice
I
to
laughed
see
and
the
chat
nerds
about
at
it, yeah.
Nerd doing it.
Laughed and chat about it yesterday, but this is the first official way to get rid of the black bars in the Nintendo online apps. Cool.
Yeah. But they might actually like update the app to let you remove it for other games as well. I mean, they haven't done it for the Super Nintendo and NES ones for like the 5 years that they've been around, so I doubt it, but you never know.
Here's a question. When you guys played GoldenEye, did you ever do the thing where you snuck up behind some of the guards and you shot them in the butt? And they did that animation where they like grab their butt cheek?
I mean, yeah.
I
Yes.
did not expect that to go there. Yeah, 100%.
I was just remembering the good times of doing that. I can't wait to do
I
that.
did so much crazy BS in GoldenEye because it was one of the when I bought my my 64. That was the only game that I had to start off with. So I did, man, just so much, just so many hours just dumped into that. Just being on the snow levels and just like finding every single boundary and see where I can go. It's just it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
So let us know what you think of GoldenEye when it is on the Switch. I expect, like pretty much every other Nintendo 64 game, there will be like one glaring issue that will get like quietly fixed in the next update. But we'll see how it goes.
They're
Pilot
gonna
Wings seem to get by
cap
okay.
Pilot Wings. They're gonna put a frame limit in on that.
So the next one, I don't really know too much about this because Luke was the one who covered it, and I just haven't had the time to do it. But there's a new SteamWorld game on the way, and it appears to be like a city builder kind of thing. Luke, tell us about the new SteamWorld game.
Yeah, so the folks at Thunderfall who own Image Inform, who own SteamWorld, they hosted a presentation the other day where they announced a new game, which is kind of interesting because they already announced a new SteamWorld game like a year ago, and then they just went radio silent on it. But SteamWorld Build is a city builder, so it's like SimCity, all those sort of strategy games like that. But then part of it is building above the ground, but then the other half is mining. So you have to mine resources below ground to help you build up the town. In terms of timeline, it's set before the ending of SteamWorld Dig 2. So they're all on the same planet, and the planet hasn't blown up yet. So, sorry, spoilers there, the planet blows up in a SteamWorld Dig 2. But yeah, so there's a lot of, resource management. You have to have the right type of bots to do the right type of jobs and all that sort of stuff. Honestly, it just looks like a fun little take on, the SimCity-esque genre. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of the SteamWorld series, so I'm all on board for this one.
Yeah, so do we actually have a release date for that, or is it just like vaguely this year?
It's 2023. I did ping the CEO of Thunderfall to ask him, and he was saying, like, hinting at later in the year, but there's nothing officially confirmed yet. So
There you go. You heard it here first from the insiders. It will be later in the year. No, I mean, more SteamWorld is good. I kind of fell off the series around about the time that SteamWorld Heist came out, because that game was not interesting to me at all. But I mean, I enjoyed SteamWorld Dig, and I don't know, this seems interesting. I kind of love these like kind of resource management, city building kind of things. Like I will spend hundreds and hundreds of hours on Civ if I'm ever allowed to install it on a computer. So,
I mean, the game is on Switch. You could always play it there.
yeah, and I probably will.
It also, I think it's one of the few games that support Steam cloud saves too.
Yeah. So the Civ 6 does support. I'm much more a fan of Civ 5 though. This is completely unrelated to the topic, but Civ 5 is just a way better game.
Interestingly though, for SteamWorld, like what I love about the series is the branding is there. It's kind of like Mario, how we have, Mario platformers, Mario Kart, Mario Party, Mario Sports. He's not locked to a genre. That's sort of what SteamWorld's doing is, the very first SteamWorld game was a tower defense game for DSi. And then they did SteamWorld Dig for the 3DS, and then, we got Heist, which was, a very different game again. Then we went back to Dig, and then we got SteamWorld, I can't remember what it's called now, The Hand of Gilgamesh, the SteamWorld Quest, the turn-based card RPG. So they're not sticking to a genre saying this is what we're doing. But yeah, they also confirmed during that showcase that this is one of 4 SteamWorld games in development. So if you're like me and you're a fan of the SteamWorld series, there's probably a genre that they're going to be touching on that'll come out sometime over the next few years.
Yeah. So interesting to see how that turns out. Unless anybody else has anything to say about SteamWorld, I kind of get the feeling that Angelo is just like sort of checked out of this conversation.
No. I was just reading up on it because I'm never really played a SteamWorld game, so I don't have anything of value to add.
Neither.
Fair enough.
The trailer looks nice though. Like it looks like an interesting game if you enjoy city builders.
If you have a PC, there is a demo available on Steam right now for it. It doesn't save progress or anything, but it's a good 2-3 hours worth of gameplay in the demo. So if you have a PC and you want to give it a go, that's definitely something to check out.
Awesome. Moving on to our next topic. This is actually something that Vook and I both sort of independently developed the story on. So there was a new patent that Nintendo patented, I guess. They filed a patent in the US. That was about AR space. It was basically like being able to place objects in AR space. And one of the, basically all of the examples that they used in that patent was like a dog. And some other websites were like, oh, is this, the return of Nintendogs, that kind of thing. Which it wasn't really much of a story to begin with. But I saw that and was like, there could be something there because while companies do sometimes just use generic images in their patents, Nintendo generally tries to stick with stuff that they're actually working on. So I did a little bit of digging into that, and I found that in late 2021, Nintendo Australia filed a trademark request for Nintendogs. Now this is separate from previous Nintendogs trademarks, and yeah, it was just a brand new trademark that was covering Class 41, which is basically game services provided online from a computer network, as opposed to Class 9, which is usually video games. Now, something that I thought was interesting is that Pikmin Bloom is both in Class 41 and Class 9, but it's really hard to glean what they plan on doing with it. I'm just
amused they think Pikmin Bloom is some sort of game in any shape or form.
Yeah, it is very vaguely a game. But yeah, so that was sort of where my story ended up. I published it on news.com.au, and then Vook discovered that the US actually published in Nintendo of America applied for a patent on the same a trademark rather on the same day for Nintendogs. So if it was just one country, it would be companies do weird stuff with trademarks all the time. But the fact that there were 2 independently filed trademarks for Nintendogs, and we've got this patent stuff, means that maybe we'll see Nintendogs coming back in the form of a mobile app.
For those that are watching the video, there is actually a difference in the way they've written it. Nintendogs, the new stuff is all fully capitalized, whereas in the past it was just, capital N, lowercase everything else. So they haven't just re-trademarked the same name. It's actually a different style of presentation of the word.
So this is an acronym. Is that what you're saying?
It might be an acronym. But it's worth noting that, like, in the US and to some degree in Australia, that, like, previous trademarks for Nintendogs were still active at the time of filing. So it's not like this is it expired and now we want to make sure that nobody else grabs it. Like, this is a new filing for a new reason. But yeah, what do we think?
Remember when Nintendogs exploded and was like the most popular thing on a Nintendo console and then just disappeared from the face of the earth?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what a lot of stuff on the Nintendo DS did. Like, we had brain training and that was like huge, and like that's kind of back now. But then, we also had Wii Sports, and then they brought that back with Switch Sports, so it wouldn't really be out of place for Nintendo to do something new with Nintendogs.
So you're saying it's only a matter of time before we get Street Pass back?
Well, I mean, like, I guess like Nintendogs on a mobile phone could act kind of like Street Pass.
I love Street Pass. I hope it does come back.
Street Pass and PictoChat, they're the best.
See, like, kind of, I don't know, everybody always says that they want Street Pass back, but like, the standby time on a 3DS is like 6 hours, and the standby time on a Switch is 3 weeks. And I have to imagine that some of that is because the 3DS is always using its wireless communication.
Sure.
But it could even just be like a mobile app of some sort.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be people or anything. You could just, I don't know, it could be like a geotagging thing, even like people leave a message somewhere. I don't know. Well, I didn't mean to bring up a whole discussion about Street Pass. I'm just saying. All these old, huge, popular things that sometimes make a comeback.
I feel like technology's moved on as well. Like, they could probably do it in a much more efficient manner. Like,
I mean, they've got NFC. Mobile phones all have NFC now, so you could have
the whole point of NFC that you have to be near.
We have to go back to We have to go back to our devices, like literally like French kissing, like they did with that one Switch game, where like you transfer levels by the speakers on one DS has to like speak to the microphone of another DS, and they like basically are French kissing.
What a nightmare!
Such a weird game. Only one game ever did that, I think.
But this sounds like they're gearing up to do some type of like walker game, like a Pokemon Go / Pikmin, where you possibly walk your Nintendog or whatever. That seems like a pretty easy concept.
Hilarious, and also just like kids don't take their regular dogs for a walk, but they're going to take their fake digital dog for a walk.
Well, see, that's the thing, right?
100% they will.
It worked for Pokemon Go.
Well, that's the thing, right? I don't see this as something that would really be aimed at kids. This would be aimed at like people sort of our age who like played Nintendogs when they were younger and now like have nostalgia for that, right? So, you know, the kind of like 25 to 35 age group. This is the kind of thing that like would maybe get them out of the house. Michael, what are you saying?
I want to meet this person that has nostalgia for Nintendogs.
You say that, but like I for sure do. Yeah.
I love it.
There you go, guys. Great. Let's rename the podcast the Nintendo Fan Podcast.
I honestly, when this popped up, I started to laugh because last year, if you recall, we were talking about what they could do, with some of their IPs for mobile games, and I said Nintendogs on mobile phone.
Yeah.
So this sort of makes me chuckle.
I would genuinely, on launch, I would genuinely pay $10 for a Nintendogs game on iPhone, much like they did with Super Mario Run.
Yeah.
Genuinely, Super Mario Run is such a good example of Nintendo pivoting to mobile gaming, but like the wider public, on smartphones just are not used to buying games.
They'll happily spend $1 a week for 10 weeks, but $10 in one go, that's too much.
People will happily spend
$10 a minute buying like dog food or like a stupid Nintendogs leash or a bone or some other BS. It's wild.
No, I was gonna say people will generally spend $8 to $20 on like a cup of coffee or lunch or something like that every day. But spending a couple bucks on an app that you have forever that could be useful or kill some time or something like that is just too much of a stretch. Sorry, slight tangent. With the kids that I have, like in some of my bands and things like that, like I point out to them, like they should buy a metronome or a tuning app, like actually spend money on one that costs money, because those things, those stay on your phone forever and they'll be super useful as young musicians. Get a tuner app and you've got a tuner right there. You don't have to go out and spend $40, $50 on an actual tuner device for your instrument. And so many kids are like, oh, spending money on an app, that's so stupid. And then I just ask them, well, how much did you spend on lunch at the canteen today? Like $12? And they're like, yeah, this is a good point. It's like, dude, like you already spent like $3 or $4 on an app that you keep forever that'll be super useful. And it's the same thing with some of these smartphone games, for a good quality smartphone game that won't, prey on, the whales as they're called on the very small percentage of people who just like splurge hundreds of dollars onto some crappy free-to-play game.
I just wish that if they do a Nintendogs for smartphone, that they let us use our platinum coins that we've earned in, Fire Emblem Heroes and Animal Crossing. Those, in-game silver coin, platinum coins you could earn that were never used anywhere else. Because if you go into the My Nintendo website and you sign in, you can see there's like 4 classifications for platinum coins. Because I think it'd be cool, if you're earning platinum coins for playing your Switch games, doing all the My Nintendo stuff, instead of using them to buy, to spend 300 coins to get a scrunchie from that's Kirby or Splatoon themed, to pick up, stuff for your digital dog. Like that'd be a cool way for them to actually make use of that system.
Okay, you say that, Luke, but I need less opportunities to spend my platinum coins because I need to be able to save them so I can spend them on icon bits for my Nintendo Switch Online profile.
I think this could feed into like a wider discussion that we could do on like microtransactions and things, but I've really come around on the idea of games like Hearthstone and like card battlers and stuff, where you spend money in those games to purchase digital versions or digital cards or whatever, like things like that. Because I actually thought about this one day, like in terms of like buying Magic the Gathering cards or Pokemon cards or something like that, right? Those are physical objects that can be damaged or lost. And you spend hundreds of dollars or whatever on collections of those kinds of things, and easily they can just get damaged or lost, and then you don't have them ever again, and that's it. They have no value. Whereas you buy a booster pack or something like that in Hearthstone, sure, like you don't physically have it in your hand, but like it's forever attached to your account, like you cannot lose it. Maybe they'll disable a card here or there because of the meta changes.
I think the crucial distinction is that they also can't be sold.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you can't trade them, you can't sell them, and there's no guarantee that in 5 years that game's even still going to be there.
And that's the other thing, right? Especially with these mobile games where it's literally just a quick fix, like, you can wait 3 hours or you pay us $1. Like that money is just gone at that point. Like,
that's wild.
That doesn't go towards anything. That's just literally a quick dopamine hit that hits you right there and then. You're just literally just like shooting up for a moment. So it's not something that you actually keep with you that enhances your gameplay experience, like for the long term or forever after.
Yeah, Disney Infinity and Starlink, the Ubisoft space shooter one, they both offered, physical figurines. And Starlink, when you linked it, you could have the digital version of the ship if you had the physical one. But Disney, they gave you a code for the first 2 games. You would redeem the code on the website, and it would unlock the digital version in, the PC game or the iPhone game back then. So they had sort of something similar. You had the physical item and then a digital version of it. So that'd be interesting. Like, I think it'd be cool to see Nintendo do that with their amiibos. Maybe if they have another amiibo-themed game, you scan in your collection, you've got a digital version of it.
I would genuinely spend like $20 for a digital amiibo that has sold out, because there's so much shit in the Breath of the Wild that I would love to get
Don't give Nintendo ideas, please.
No, I'm genuine. I would spend money on a digital amiibo because once those limited run amiibo are gone, right? That's just content that's locked off forever. I will never get the additional, fast travel feature in Skyward Sword because they don't make the amiibo anymore, and therefore I just can't play that.
I think the better solution is to not lock content behind amiibo.
Oh, of
that's
course.
Just ridiculous.
But they're never going to stop doing that.
The other thing too, though, is that Nintendo have been reproducing a lot of their old amiibo lately. They've obviously done a bunch with the Fire Emblem stuff. They did a bunch last year with Splatoon. So it's entirely possible that, when when Tears of the Kingdom rolls around, I keep calling Breath of the Wild sequel in my head. When Tears of the Kingdom rolls around in May, we may see a whole bunch of old Zelda amiibo getting reprints. I'm not saying they're going to. I'm just saying it's possible.
I'm sure I'm in the minority of this discussion, like amongst this group. But I am so sick of amiibo. I bought one amiibo. It was the Zelda and Loftwing one for Skyward Sword, and that's only because I thought it was a really nice amiibo. But since then, I hadn't bought an amiibo in like 5 years or something like that, or 6 years. And it's just because there's just more crap that I have in my house in that case. Like I bought almost all of the Smash ones. I think like, after a couple of years, I just stopped buying them at that point. So I've got like 30 or 40 of them. And it's just more crap on my shelves that I just don't want. I have a giant box, like a huge box, just full of the Disney Infinity figurines and the Skylanders ones that my sister bought when she had her Wii U, because my sister and my parents are kind of hoarders when it comes to collectibles and stuff like that. See, they get one collectible item and have to go out and buy everything and then just have it and then realize they're like, oh crap, I got all this junk here, and they offload some of it to me, and now I've just got this giant box that I don't want of just amiibo of these figurines, and like I'm never going to play these games, like, so I really have no use for them, and they're like, in all honesty, like they don't really have any value. Like I can't sell these off to some people or anything. Like who's going to buy all this junk? They probably have the collections themselves. Yeah. So I find like a lot of this kind of stuff just super just annoying, and even these are kind of predatory in a sense.
I actually wrote a feature up. It didn't go live because it wasn't that well put together in the end. But it was basically that Nintendo have all but abandoned amiibo, because apart from saving your outfit and your whatever for Splatoon 3, that game doesn't use amiibo in any way, shape, or form that's actually beneficial to the player. It might give you a couple of extra quick unlocks, but it's not as if you can't earn items by playing the game. But the last game that they did anything with was Skyward Sword HD. Metroid Dread. You could unlock extra health tanks and all that sort of stuff. But it's like that's like a year between games.
Yeah, and I 100% think that's a good thing. Like, stop doing it.
But that's what I'm saying. The Nintendo themselves are all about abandon amiibo as a we've got stuff we're making use of these for. So it kind of makes me wonder why they're still making them to begin with.
I honestly think that as soon as all of the Smash ones are out, they'll probably stop kind of doing them all together.
That's what I was thinking.
I reckon they'll drop more Zelda ones for sure.
They probably will, yeah. But
like I think they look cool, but like once you get them and then maybe use them for the game that you got that you're only playing that month or 2 months or something like that, then they just sit on the shelf, and so many people buy so much just stuff to stick on their shelves anyways. It's just like, it's more plastic in your house.
With amiibos, I restricted myself. Like if I was going to get amiibos, I was only going to get Zelda ones, and that was it. Because I enjoy Zelda, and like that was all. And I understand obviously there's 17,000 Zelda amiibos. That was a bad life choice, but I still restricted myself to that.
The only amiibo that I still want that I don't have is the Metroid one from years ago. The one with this little
squishy one.
Squishy.
That's the only one that I want.
That's cute.
I really want that. And I saw that at a Game Traders years ago, and I just didn't buy it because I'm like, maybe I'll come back another time and get it. And then, I always regret that. That's the only amiibo I want just because it's squishy and it's kind of cool.
The only one that I want that I'm missing is the giant Young Yoshi.
Oh, yeah,
also the one that looks like a giant plush.
I've got the 3 small ones.
I got them and Fuji, but that's it. Yeah, I like the ones when they're really unique, like the Metroid one, like the Yarn ones. Yeah, but a lot of them are just generic.
Love it, keep on adding exceptions to this. And I'm like, this is how it works. Like, this is how people think about other amiibo.
I was literally not going to buy any amiibo because I saw them at E3, and I was like, especially with the pea-coloured stick for Link, the Smash Brothers Link with the yellow pea stick, if you remember that. And I was like, I don't really need this. It's not.
As in the first one where like Link's
the original,
standing on one leg.
Yeah, the original.
He's got like a translucent.
Right.
Like a lot of the first wave amiibos have that stuff.
Yeah. And now they just look like they're stuck in glue. But yeah, so I wasn't gonna get them because I was doing Disney Infinity, and Disney sent me a lot of those ones, so thanks to them. But I was like, I don't need 2 collectible figurine things. That's why I didn't get into Skylanders. I was fine with that. And then I was at a Walmart or a Toys R Us in the US the day after they came out, and I was just like, I'll just see what these things look like in person. And they just had this massive wall of them, and I was like, yeah, I can get 1 or 2. And apart from like those gold and silver Marios, I've not missed one. So yeah, it's a slippery slope.
We veered wildly away from Nintendogs.
we have. Anyway, yeah, Nintendogs amiibo coming soon, I guess. No, I just wanted to point out, Michael, that like you said that you only got the Zelda amiibo, but like I know for a fact that amiibo cards are a thing as well.
Okay.
I was gonna say,
all right,
be thankful you did like commit to Animal Crossing
and Animal Crossing amiibo cards, but that's like, oh fuck, I'm not gonna justify myself.
But that's the exception.
No, but like, Animal Crossing does this thing to my brain where like it just turns off things, and yeah, that's Animal Crossing cards.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to the next news item. That took way longer. Like that was supposed to be Nintendogs, but we talked about Nintendogs for like 2 minutes, and then like amiibo for 15.
Maybe we should start a new segment called "We're the Problem."
We'll go through the last two kind of quickly. Dokapon, I don't know how you say that. Whatever. The Dokapon Kingdom game is coming to Switch. People really like it. I have never played it, but people absolutely loved it on the Wii. And now it's coming to Switch.
I absolutely loved it 10 years ago.
Yeah. And now it's back and on Switch. I think it has like online as well. So. Yeah.
Generic.
I'm watching the trailer. I've never seen this before. I have no idea what this is. Like, what is it?
It's like Mario Party, but less interesting.
To me, it looks like a cross between like My Life as a King meets Mario Party. So like that sort of visual, not as polished, but that sort of visual style.
Yep.
And then the Mario Party board game stuff.
Yeah.
Oof, yeah. This trailer.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
SNES version of this? Am I making this up? No.
It's been a series for a while, so there's probably been a SNES version of it.
Maybe like a Japanese only release? I can't remember. It's have this weird thing in the back of my mind.
It's a remake of a 1994 Super Famicom title.
Got it.
So it's actually funny because like this one is Dokapon Kingdom Connect, which is a remake of Dokapon Kingdom, which is a remake of Dokapon 321, which was on the Super Nintendo.
Good.
So yeah,
sounds like
remake of a remake
Square
of a remake.
It sounds like one of the Square Enix games last year.
Yeah.
Tactics Ogre was a remake last year. Was a remake of the PSP game or PS Vita game, or whatever it was, which was a remake of the Super Nintendo game.
I still can't believe how they just like ruined the art style for that. But that's a whole other story.
No more tangents.
We should talk about it for 15 minutes.
And then the other one is Minecraft Legends. So this like just happened this morning. And that I wasn't really paying attention to Minecraft Legends. There were bigger things happening. So yeah, Luke, tell us about Minecraft Legends because you actually paid attention to it.
It was announced last year. I think it was announced a while ago, but it was shown off last year during the Xbox and Bethesda Summer Showcase. What was E3 but wasn't. And it's basically a tactical Minecraft game. That's pretty much the best way to describe it. What they dove into this morning during the Xbox Direct, which seriously, Xbox, choose another name. You had your own bloody XO series for like 5-6 years. You could bring that back. Anyway, so the one they dove into this morning is that it will support cross-play online multiplayer, where 2 teams of 4 players can battle it out, kind of like Age of Empires, taking on, building up resources and taking battles to, the other base. But the big thing with Legends is that the piglins are invading the Minecraft world, and your main goal in the story is to fight them back and to, save the world from everything that they're doing, trying to ruin it. But yeah, so it was announced April 18th was the date, and it's cross-platform for all of them. So if you have friends on other platforms and have the game, you can all play together.
So it's less of a strategy, of a tactical game, right, and more of a strategy game.
I'd sort of probably pick bits of it. It's not pure strategy. It's not pure tactical, because you can control mobs. You can direct. So your character can have mobs of AI controlled things that you can tell them where to go, like in a strategy
so it's more of a strategy game where you have to move units rather than tactical where you're working on a grid and you have like turn-based. battling.
Yeah, it's not turn-based or anything like that. It's all done real time. But yeah, you still have to do resource management and all that sort of stuff. So
And there's like a bit of like tower defensey kind of stuff as well. It's I don't know. I
know,
saw
like
that
Minecraft-
bit in the trailer.
Minecraft to me has always been more of a cooperative experience, and so like it's interesting to see that they're putting a much. Well, this is basically only PvP, right? There isn't really a PvE.
no,
this is a campaign.
there's a single player, and you can play with friends. You know, trying to save the world together, and then there's the competitive multiplayer. So. Yeah, I just think it's interesting that Minecraft is, you know, we had the original Minecraft for so many years, then we had Stories from Telltale Games. They had 2 seasons of that, and then we got Dungeons, and now we've got this. It just sort of seems that
I
they're...
completely forget that like Dungeons is a thing.
Dungeons is great.
It is
We've been
really
playing that.
great, but I just like
We've been playing that.
completely forget about it.
My problem with Minecraft Dungeons is that, like with many dungeon crawlers, I don't know what it is. It's the only genre that easily makes me start falling asleep. I don't know what it is about it. Genuinely, my girlfriend and I will sit on the couch and we'll start playing it, and she's super into dungeon crawlers and stuff. It happened with Diablo. It's happened with a couple of other games, and immediately after like 5 minutes or something like that, I start dozing, and she's like, "Dude, wake up! Like your character is literally walking off like against the wall or something like that," or she's like off fighting, and I'm just off going in a completely different direction, about to walk off the map or something. There's something about dungeon crawlers that just for some reason puts me to sleep, and I wonder if it's because the controls have just become so simplistic where it comes down to like pressing 1 or 2 buttons, and then that's really about it. But yeah, anyway, another tangent.
I mean, I could have made a really bad dad joke about you playing Dunge-offs, not Dungeons, but...
Jesus Christ. Let's talk about the games that we're playing.
I don't get it, but okay.
I just want to mention, too, during the week, Devolver and Flying Wild Hog announced Trek to Yomi is coming to Switch next week.
Yeah, it's an absolutely wonderful game, so check it out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the games we're playing. We'll quickly get through this. I finished Ori and the Blind Forest a couple days ago. Really, really fantastic game. I 100%ed it, and I never 100% any games. So, yeah. I don't know. There's something about like Metroidvanias that just like makes my brain go wild and like have to 100% it. Like there's like a slight like dark spot on the map, and it's like, well, time to take the 25-minute detour to like uncover that map point.
So you're the exact opposite for Angelo in Dungeon Crawlers. You see a Metroidvania and you just can't help but play it.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm going to get into Will of the Wisps starting this weekend.
So
and I've also
this
been
is
playing...
the funny thing. Will of the Wisps is 1,000 times better than Blind Forest, but Blind Forest is fantastic. So
yeah, everybody keeps saying that Will of the Wisps is like a huge step up, and I was like, how? Like Blind Forest is like the perfect Metroidvania, so I'm really, really interested to see Will of the Wisps. Yeah, I've also been playing Shadowverse Champions Battle, which is something that like not a lot of people really talk about. It's like a
card
full,
game.
Yeah, it's a card game, so it's basically like it's a very weeby kind of like anime game.
It's knockoff Yu-Gi-Oh,
like,
right?
Well, it's actually knockoff Hearthstone, which it plays pretty much the game plays pretty much like that. But then like it's like a full like 60-hour like RPG to play through, with like a fantastic story that's like all like fully voice acted, and it only costs like $45 on the eShop, which is just wild to me. But it's extremely good. So if anyone is like really interested in like Hearthstone but doesn't really want to play online or do the tavern kind of stuff, definitely check out Shadowverse, because like it's way better than it has any right to be. And there's like 8 different like classes as well that you can like get cards in and like build specific archetypes of decks, and it's incredibly well developed, and it's wild to me that like people aren't constantly talking about it, and it never really got much attention. Because I think it was made by somebody, I can't remember. It's late.
I think it's Psy Games.
Yeah, Psy Games, who made Dragalia Lost, the mobile game for Nintendo.
Which is now lost because Nintendo shut it
down. But they do really good work. And it looks and runs just beautifully on the Switch. I don't think it's on anything else.
No, it's a Switch exclusive game as well, which is even more unique.
But yeah, really lovely game. Michael, what have you been playing?
I've been playing a game called Dome Keeper. I can't remember if I've talked about it before on the podcast. It's basically like a little oh god, how do you describe it? You land on a planet and you have to start mining to get resources to survive on the planet. As certain day-night cycles happen and waves of enemies come towards your dome. And you have to try and get to the final. You find relics throughout the map as you're digging and mining. And you have to get to the final relic to make your way off the planet. It's just a fun little, like, roguelike.
Nice. Luke, what have you been playing?
So the only games that I can talk about, I mean, I played the SteamWorld build demo earlier in the week because I was chomping at the bit to get that to go. And I highly suggest anyone who's interested in that genre do it because it is pretty fantastic. Especially because you have to, once you start mining, you have to balance both at the same time. The world doesn't pause when you go into the mine, and when you come out of the mine, go overworld, nothing pauses. So, you could be building, putting down new paths and houses for the bots up top, and the mine can be collapsing because you forgot to put supports in. So you have to be constantly balancing both parts of it, which is cool. And then also I started playing for review Hi-Fi Rush, which is the game that was announced from Tango Gameworks this morning. So.
Nice. Angelo, tell us what you've been playing.
Well, with my ongoing saga of playing through the Resident Evil series, we finally finished Resident Evil 6 recently. Thank God. I'm so glad that game is done. Out of the whole series, that game definitely blew the biggest chunks. But I'm actually really enjoying Resident Evil 7 now. We've almost finished it. It's quite a short game. I'm surprised by how short it is, actually. And I think that the amount of tension that game has, given that it's a first-person perspective, and then it goes right back to being, a very suspenseful horror game, I think it's actually quite the right length. There's a couple of DLCs for it as well, so we'll see if we'll get around to those. But I'm actually really, really enjoying it, and it looks amazing as well. It runs really well on PS5. I'm playing the PS4 version. And yeah, even though it's the PS4 version, runs at 60 FPS, super atmospheric, sound design is fantastic. Everything about it is great. I'm really, really enjoying it. But also, along the theme of zombies, I returned to Days Gone. It's a game that I started a couple of years ago. I think it went free on PlayStation Plus or something like that, like back in 2021. And I started it and played about 3 or 4 hours and then just kind of fell off, and then returned to it about a year later and dipped in and out. And then for the last couple of weeks, I've just kind of really dived into it and just steamrolled through it on my own time. And it's fine. It's just not too bad. It definitely has its issues. I think it has a bit of a problem with pacing. That game really kind of goes on. I think I've clocked about 55 hours or something like that in that game, and there's still a few things to do, but in the last 10 or 20 hours I was just barreling ahead with the story because I kind of wanted it to be over with at that point. It kind of outstays its welcome a little bit. I think its sense of world is really interesting. The way it sort of explains what's going on is kind of cool. Fighting giant hordes is one of the big features of that game. Is you can fight anything between a couple dozen freakers instead of zombies, or anything between a couple of dozen to about 100 or 200 at a time. And the first couple of times it's kind of cool, but then it kind of gets a bit tedious after a while. You just kind of spend a lot of time doing it and trying to collect resources to then craft certain weapons or items to use against them, and then you don't have anything nearby, and if you don't have anything to craft with, then you're kind of screwed, and you've got another 100 zombies to try and kill. So it's definitely an upward battle in that regard, but it's not too bad. And Sam Witwer is definitely one of the shining examples of voice acting in that game. There are some
he carries that game.
He does.
Well.
I don't think it's a fault of the voice actors who are performing, or even the performers who are giving performances in the game. I just think he kind of gave it his all. I think he went a little bit extra with some of the voice acting, in the way some of the kind of delivers some of the offbeat incidental dialogue and stuff. You can tell he's again just really hamming it up and putting everything into it, even though it may not need it. But I think his performance kind of stands out a little bit in that regard. But yeah, it's an interesting game. I don't know if I'd recommend it for everyone, just given its length and kind of gets a bit tedious. But I'm happy I played it. And again, returning to games that have started forever ago, I'm also playing Eastward on the Switch. It's one that I return to every now and again, and because I've been playing it for so long now, I have absolutely no idea what's going on. But I absolutely love the art style. The pixel art style in it is just amazing. It's really, really well animated. and the world is just designed so well. Yeah, and that's kind of what keeps me drawing in. So trying to piece things together to make sense of what's going on, but we'll see if I stick around with that one any longer than I usually do.
Alrighty, well, let's move on to our Nintendo 20 questions then. Luke, you are leading us.
Yes, I have the power, and more importantly, I have chosen a game. I did get a suggestion from somebody, but we already done that game. So, no listener suggestion this week. But I've chosen a game. I think it's going to be a challenging one for all. So you have 20 questions, and you may begin.
Such a change.
Yeah, let's get ready to swallow that L, boys.
Okay, was this game released 2010 or after?
2010 or after? It was not.
Was this released in the 90s?
In the 90s? It was not.
So 80s or 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, was this game released in the 80s?
In the 80s, it was not.
Okay.
Michael, you asked 2010 or after, didn't you?
Yeah.
So it has to be a 2000s game.
2000, 2009. Was this released on a home console?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So 64, GameCube, Wii? Yeah, Wii.
Yeah. Did this game have motion controls?
It did not.
You could have just asked if it was like on the Wii, because that would have given us way more information.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's almost certainly got to be a disc-based console. Like the chances of being a late-stage N64 game are pretty slim.
I mean, it could also be a Super Nintendo game.
Yes? Any Super Nintendo games come out in 2000?
I'm sure there was at
so.
least one.
Maybe from Joe Smith's developers or something, but wouldn't think anything would be well known.
Yeah, fair.
I'm just gonna do it. It was this released on a disc-based console.
Yes, it was.
Okay, so GameCube or Wii then?
So do you want to lock in that console?
I mean, I feel like if it's a difficult one, it's probably Wii, because there's 3 million games on the Wii. But we'll ask.
I would also agree.
Is this game on the Wii?
It is not.
Oh, there you go.
Look at that. Should have
GameCube
just
game.
followed my lead with it not having motion controls.
You could have asked if it had a GameCube controller. That wouldn't have narrowed it down for you either.
Okay.
By the way,
so
I looked it up, and there were 5 games that came out in 2000 on the Super Nintendo.
wow.
Really?
That's bonkers.
3 of them were Picross games.
Oh, well.
Makes sense.
And
You
then
can
there was
sneeze and develop a Picross game, so that's not a big milestone.
And then there was an RPG adventure game from HAL Laboratory.
So how many questions? Have we asked?
You've asked 7.
Damn.
Yeah. Although we know that it's on the GameCube. Does this game have multiplayer?
Yes, it does. To double check.
Alrighty. Is this a licensed game?
No, it is not a licensed game.
That basically takes out most of my knowledge of the GameCube.
Does this game use any unique GameCube peripherals?
No, it does not.
Was it developed by Nintendo?
No, it was not. Sorry, that's you passed 10 questions now.
Okay, can
Before
I clarify that when I said unique, I meant anything but a controller?
No, I knew what you meant.
Cool.
Okay, so it was a non-Nintendo published game.
Okay.
Oh, no, Nintendo developed game, sorry.
Was this game developed in North America?
Developed in North America? Yes, it was. Learning from my mistake last time and not specifying the country.
I have like this weird feeling that it's like Red Faction 2. It's just like the first thing that came to mind. I don't know, I've been thinking about Red Faction lately, and then...
Could be Metroid Prime 2.
Could it be?
Well, he said it was a difficult one. And I feel like Metroid Prime is too obvious.
But also, like, Retro is a part of Nintendo, so, like, technically Nintendo developed it.
Well, not at the time. They weren't first party.
I guess, yeah. But they're still part of Nintendo now. Anyway, North America, huh? And it's not licensed. It really does, like, knock out a lot of them.
I mean, you're stripping like 80% of THQ from...
Yeah. That's
is this game part of a series?
Part of a series? No.
Okay, so it's not Red Faction 2.
I can always tell when it's a no because he repeats the question. Every other, if it's a yes, he just straight up says yes.
Don't give away the secrets.
It's also not Serious Sam Next Encounter, which is a really good game that people should play.
The collection that they put out on Switch for the first 3 games for that is fantastic.
Yeah, but it didn't include Next Encounter, so...
No.
It's a weird sort of spin-off kind of thing.
Is this a racing game?
Sorry, I missed all that.
Is this a racing game?
A racing game? It is not. You have 5 questions and a guess remaining.
Jesus.
Part of a series. Developed in North America.
It's not part of a series.
They say it wasn't, right? Or was part of a series?
It is not part of a series.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you repeated the question, so it's a no.
Oh my god.
This is tough.
This game well received.
No, it was not well received.
Oh shit, GameCube game.
Because that narrows it down.
How dare you?
Is this a multi-platform game?
A multi-platform game? No.
So it's an exclusive.
3 questions and a guess.
Oh god, this is gonna be bad if I own this game and I can't think about it.
So it's a bad GameCube game that has multiplayer. Developed in America.
Yeah.
It's not Metro Prime Echoes, even though that has multiplayer.
That's not part of a series, so it's not Metroid anything.
Exactly.
See, Michael's trying to get ideas.
Quiet you.
Man, I can't think of anything.
I'm trying to think of the games I have. I don't think I have anything that fits that description. I only bought good games. Ooh! Could be Cell Damage.
It could be.
Which, if he means that it wasn't received well, is a huge disrespect because I love the crap out of that game.
It's because
you got a HD re-release recently, so...
Yeah, man. It got one on Vita, and then it got a re-release on the Switch.
Didn't you ask if it was a racing game? And he said no?
Yeah, I guess. It does have a battle mode, but yeah, it primarily is a racing game. That's the point. Damn.
Didn't it also come out on the Xbox as well?
It was a multi-platform game, of course.
Just smack down your idea?
Damn it. I got so excited because all I clung onto was like 2 points and I completely ignored like 3 points. That makes it a no.
Man, I really have nothing.
Okay. It's multiplayer. So what are some aspects of I guess they're mostly like shooters or action games or something like that, right? Generally, that's what it is if it's a multiplayer game. If it's not a racer or it's a sports game. I can't think of any multiplayer.
How many questions do we have
puzzle
left?
games.
Sorry?
3 questions and a guess.
Could ask if it's a puzzler. Could ask if it's an action game of some sort, fighting game.
It could be. Oh no, it's not part of a series. God damn it. I was gonna say Dark Alliance maybe. But there was a Dark Alliance too.
Is this an is this an action or adventure game?
No.
I'm not asking. Okay, cool. I wasn't asking you to choose one. I was just asking 2 different genres. So that rules out action or adventure. So it could be a puzzler, could be a sports game. What other genres would this game fit in with multiplayer? Could ask if the multiplayer is competitive. It's almost guaranteed to be, so.
Is there like a multiplayer aspect to Eternal Darkness? Or
No.
I
Unless
didn't
I
think
already
so,
had
but
that game.
Unless it was one of the insanity things where you think there are 3 other people in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, did Star Fox Adventures have a? No, that was
I would say
rare,
that's
right?
part of a series, you know.
Yeah.
Is it kind of not?
Could
Would
it
we,
be?
would we consider that part? I guess it would.
Could it be Geist?
I never played Geist, so I don't know anything about it.
Pretty sure it has multiplayer. I don't know if it was developed by someone in North America, but it feels like a game that was developed in North America.
Is that a shooter?
I
don't know anything about it.
Oh, is it a shooter?
I think it has like
Yeah,
guns in
it has
right?
shooter elements. Yeah. What does it have? I can't remember. Do we knock out first-person shooter?
No. I haven't asked for any sort of shooter or any aspects of combat or anything like that. I just asked if it was a action or adventure game.
I think it's an action adventure game.
Okay.
So probably not it then, because it's not an action or adventure game.
What are some fighters? Some mediocre / bad fighters.
I can't think of any fighters on the GameCube.
There was Smash, there was Soul Calibur.
Not a licensed game.
Do we know if it's a racing game or not? It's not a racing game, right?
It's not a racing game. We eliminated races, I think. Did we, Luke? Did we eliminate races? Yeah.
Yeah.
You asked that question early on.
Yeah, I really have nothing.
I could ask if it was a puzzler or a shooter.
Say that Geist is first person though. Like I just don't know if I classify it as a shooter. Like yeah. I just wouldn't classify it as a shooter.
Well, if it's not a shooter, it would have to be an action game, and it's not an action game.
Yeah, but like it's a first person action game. I guess there might be like some shooting elements in the game. I've not played it in so long.
Well, if you're sure about it, what are some other aspects of the
I
game
can
you
ask
about?
because you possess other characters in the game, which I think is a pretty unique gameplay trait.
Okay, you can ask that.
Alright. In this game, do you possess other characters in the game?
Yes.
Ooh, you got it.
Yeah,
Is
that has to
there
be.
something
It's something else, because like,
Well, is there something else you want to ask? To
Oh,
be sure it is
man.
that?
can ask if it's Geist.
And we lose if it's no.
Does it rhyme with heist?
We can ask the meta question if you want. Have we mentioned the game?
Yeah.
Oh, go for it.
Alright, have we mentioned the game?
This is the last question. You have to make a guess after this.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to help us, so...
You have mentioned this game.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it. You got it. You got it. You did it.
Okay, shall we?
Yeah, do it.
Alright, is this game Geist?
This game was released for the GameCube in 2005, developed by enSpace down in Florida, published by Nintendo. It is the first-person Geist.
Did it.
Cool.
Really came down to
Got
the
there.
wire on that one, huh?
Oh my god.
That's good.
I was so close to just moving on. But I was just like, what other, like, exclusive, like, games are there?
Because people call it a first-person shooter, some people call it an action-adventure game, but the entire game is played from the first-person
It's
perspective.
first person, yeah.
And the majority of the action is locked to you either possessing objects or possessing guards with guns and shooting things.
Cool, fair.
So you're not shooting. It's more of a possession game. Because you
Yeah,
said
it's
yourself,
really-
that's the main
it's-
crux of it.
I mean,
It's
you're
not
shooting
really-
yourself into people and dog bowls.
Well, it's kind of weird, right? It's like Metroid Prime. Like, is that a first-person shooter or an adventure game? Because while the combat, yes, you're shooting, what you're doing mostly in that game is just scanning stuff and learning.
Good pick, though.
and discovering.
Actually, I don't own Geist, so that
always-
didn't help me at all.
I always saw it at the video shop, but I never picked it up, and it wasn't
Had,
received
like-
well. Did you enjoy it, Michael?
Yeah, it's an enjoyable game. Like, it's just like a fun, mediocre game. Like, it doesn't have to blow your socks off.
Alrighty, well, that about wraps up this week's Vookcast. Be sure to visit the site www.vooks.net for all your Nintendo news, reviews, and everything in between. To keep up to date, follow the site on Twitter at vooks.net, which is all spelled out, or jump on over to our Discord at bit.ly/VooksDiscord. You can find all of the host social information and links for all the stories covered in this episode in the episode notes on whatever platform you're listening to. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next fortnight.